Happy Wednesday to everybody out there. Happy June to everybody out there. This is On the Block here on 93.7 The Ticket. I am Jake Balkovin, and we're anxiously awaiting the arrival of Eric Strickland as he is in a U-Haul right now. I don't know if it's exactly right now, but he's on his way to Nebraska, moving so that he can be in here in studio with us tomorrow and for the foreseeable future, till the end of time, maybe even. Hopefully not. Hopefully the time will last a little bit longer than we do have our time here on Earth. But in any case, we are looking forward to Eric Strickland to joining us. But again, that will be tomorrow. So today we have Nate Brennan in here again, and we're ready to talk quarterback tiers, as ESPN has put out ranking all 131 college football quarterback situation in tiers. And it's kind of interesting, of course, to look where quarterbacks' presence and quarterbacks' past fall on this list. We did a little bit of reading it for the different rankings there in the previous show on the Ticket Water Cooler. So if you want to get an in-depth look at that, you can go look at that on the podcast page. But for now, I just wanted to go over the tiers that directly affect Nebraska, other than the first one. Once again, the first tier is Heisman or bust. C.J. Stroud, Caleb Williams, and Bryce Young on that list. So those are kind of the flag bearers, the people that are going to carry the recognition, I suppose, in college football. Very much household names, and NFL teams are probably already kind of preparing and positioning themselves for what they're going to do this upcoming season, and how long they're going to try if things get out of hand, I suppose. Maybe there's going to be some tanking for Bryce or tanking for C.J. Stroud or Caleb Williams. Would you have an early pick for the best pro of that group?
Ooh,
tough call.
Probably Caleb Williams. He's good, man. But he has to stay another year, I'm pretty sure, because he was a true freshman last year. So that's why it was so impressive, is that he took over for Spencer Rattler, who was preseason projected to be the number 1 overall pick. And as a 19-year-old steps in and is better, if not significantly better. So if he keeps this trajectory, I would assume that it would be Caleb Williams.
I still find it crazy that Nebraska is going to play Oklahoma in back-to-back years and missed Caleb Williams altogether,
which is awesome.
Yeah, it's good news for Nebraska.
It's great news for Nebraska.
I suppose it doesn't matter much if they go 0-2 in the 2 games, but they're not going to. They're going to beat Oklahoma when they come up from Norman this year. At least that's the hope. Yeah,
5-0.
Well, 4-0 at that point. But you could just, if they beat them, they'll probably beat Indiana. So
I
guess
goodness.
I'll go ahead and
There's now odds at people's office. So Mouth of the South says Nick versus Nate boxing. Nick said if it was kickboxing, you wouldn't last a round. Why are we going to kickbox? No, I'm not going to kickbox anyone. If we're gonna fight, we're gonna fight. All right, you're
not going to allow kicking?
No. We're going to get boxing gloves. We're going to do it the right way. And what round will Nick be finished versus Nate in boxing? This is the stuff we really need to know. We have odds at the office.
How many rounds do you think you'd take him?
Well, the thing is, I think Nick doesn't have the stamina that I would have, so he'd probably be done after 1 round. Like, boxing is tough, man. Like,
I know.
You are in there. If we did 3-minute
you
rounds,
and him boxing is less tough than actual boxing.
It's still a workout. I would say I could probably go 3-minute rounds. I could probably last maybe 2, 3. I could last 3 rounds. Nick would be done after 1.
You think he'd beat you in kickboxing? It sounds like you're shying away from kickboxing.
Maybe. I'd have no desire to.
You don't want to get kicked.
I've never been boxing. I don't want to kick. Like, no. I have no desire to have a kickboxing match with anyone.
Nick's still over in the other studio. I'm gonna try to get him on the mic to try to defend himself here a little bit, But before we do that, we better get to our. I know you guys just want to talk about Nick and Nate, the fight,
fight.
We don't have it confirmed. So we don't know if it's going to happen at this point, but they're already putting odds on it. But so we appreciate that. But in any case, let's get into where the Nebraska situation is for the tiers. Again, we mentioned, and we'll repeat it again here. There's several different tiers for all these college football quarterback situations. Tier 7 is where they have Adrian Martinez over there at Kansas State. Again, their little rundown on him is that you might not have noticed, but they're pretty good, is that tier. And then it says Adrian Martinez ended up as the face for Nebraska's struggles, but it wasn't remotely fair. He was quite good in spite of adverse circumstances. Case in point, Martinez was pressured on 42% of his dropbacks last year, most in the country.
And like I said to you, Bach, the frustrating part about this is that when you have these national reporters, I bet that they did not, maybe they watched the Nebraska-Oklahoma game. Outside of that, I could probably bet you that they watched a grand total of 3/4 of Nebraska football.
Hey, Michigan was in prime time. That was a big game.
Okay, maybe they watched the fourth quarter of the Michigan game.
Ohio State was on
which
Big
would
Noon.
make you assume
Michigan
that
State.
they would push it below. I'm assuming this guy did not watch a lot of Nebraska football. I could be very wrong. I could be very, very wrong. But for you to blatantly go out and say he was the face of Nebraska strugglers and it wasn't even remotely fair. Look, you can say what you will about Adrian Martinez. You could say that it wasn't fair that he was the scapegoat for a lot of Nebraska losses. But to say that it wasn't remotely fair, I mean, we can point to very specific instances and say, oh, maybe that game was Adrian Martinez's fault. And I'm not saying it's every game, and I'm not saying he is the sole person to blame. But there are games, very specific instances that you can say it was Adrian Martinez. And I know that you might disagree with that, Bach, because you're an Adrian Martinez homer, which it is what it is. I understand. That's your boy. I respect that. But let's not go out and say that Adrian Martinez is just boo-hoo Adrian, and he shouldn't be blamed for any of this, because that's not fair, and that's not accurate.
I wouldn't say it is, but I do think that there is a lot to, and to my concerns traveling over into this year is I think there's just this hope that the offensive line is going to get significantly better. Again, this stat is a stat. It's just, it is what it is. He was pressured on 42% of his dropbacks. That's the most in the nation. Every other time he's dropping back, he's got somebody in his face. So if you want the greatest passing numbers or miraculous offensive numbers put up from that, that's a lot to ask, more than anybody else is asking in the nation.
And I agree with that. I think a lot of that is the scheme that Nebraska runs. I mean, when you run a lot of quarterback runs, draws, QB powers, read option, when you do plays, I mean, that's good. That's somewhat inevitable at some point. So I'm assuming some of those pressures,
drop back passes,
some of those pressures are a result of that. But what do you like? So you're considering a drop back pass? They never went under center, which I know a lot of Nebraska fans are very upset about. Like, what do you consider a drop back? Like, very rarely, I feel like Adrian Martinez was straight up out of the shotgun, straight to a drop back pass.
But he had. I mean, again, whether it's this number, you go with Pro Football Focus's rankings on tackles last year, offensive tackles. Not very good as far as pass protection goes.
Fair.
In fact, among the worst in the nation.
Right.
Again, and so the offensive line's pass protection last year for Adrian was just awful. And so he basically did everything in the passing game despite that. Now people will, point out on the text line, he missed so many wide open wide receivers. There were times when he made mistakes too. And I'm not, I don't want to say that that's wrong, but I can't wait to see what he does at Kansas State, because I think that I'm kind of torn in two ways. I think that that's a good offense for him, but I also know that he's looking and was looking for somewhere that can show off his NFL skills a little bit more.
Goodness gracious.
I don't think his hope for the NFL, I don't think that that's necessarily in the cards for him. If they're going to make him more of just a straight drop back passer, maybe he can improve, but I don't think, again, the next level. But I mean, he should be thinking about, that's what he's obviously his goal is.
Sure, that's what his goal is, but my goal is to play in the NFL too. Look how that worked out for me. So I know it's a huge different playing field, but like, come on, man. Like, and I understand Texter says, that it says that I need to go away. That's funny. I understand that Adrian Martinez was pressured quite a bit. I understand that. I get that. But then Gus says ESPN probably thought that every time Adrian Martinez got happy feet, he was under pressure. And that did happen a lot. There were many times that Adrian Martinez did not stand in the pocket and deliver a pass.
Yeah, I mean, his mechanics.
There were a lot of times
they're never great.
And there were a lot of times that he missed wide open wide receivers. A lot of times.
Yeah. But I wouldn't say a lot of times. There's also times when he took off and ran for 70 yards or hit, Samori Toure didn't have these 50-yard passes just by himself. He's a solid quarterback. And again, that's where he kind of ranks in these. We kind of talk about how his numbers are top 25 in career and all that stuff across the nation. And you kind of argue, would he be one of your top 25 quarterbacks you'd pick in the nation? Probably maybe not quite top 25, but maybe top 30, 35 in the country. And it's, again, not great. But when you look at where a lot of these other teams are in the Big Ten, he would start for probably half the teams in the Big Ten.
And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that. but he threw a wide open 6'9" tight end. So yes, the thing about Adrian, I think this is where we get lost in translation. I'm not saying Adrian Martinez is a bad quarterback.
By the way, Austin Allen's not 6'9".
He's probably like 6'6".
Whenever we want to exaggerate, we just add another inch to him, make it sound even worse.
Nah, he's probably like 6'6".
I think he's like 6'7". Yeah,
6'6", 6'7". Listen, Adrian Martinez was not a bad quarterback. I'm not saying he was a bad quarterback.
It's not a was. He's still,
and
he's at Kansas State.
He's at Kansas State. He's going to start, and I would say that for Kansas State, that's a good quarterback for you to get. He has starting experience. He's played at the Power 5 level. He's shown flashes. But goodness gracious, man, like, come on, an NFL quarterback? Like, this should not be the discussion. And when you look at Adrian Martinez, his flaw was passing.
Right.
That is what hurt him. It was passing. And when it came down to big moments, this is the thing where you have to look past the stats when it comes to Adrian Martinez. Because when it mattered the most, Adrian Martinez did not show up when Nebraska needed him. No, it was not every game. Special teams can be a lot to blame. And as you always mention, Buck, Scott Frost can be a lot to blame. I'm not putting this all on Adrian Martinez. But now let's not act like Adrian Martinez was this great quarterback that was just the scapegoat that shouldn't have been. Adrian Martinez got his fair share of criticism, and rightfully so.
He did. Again, it's the quarterback position. You're always going to get more of the blame than you probably should, and you're going to get more of the credit than you probably should. I just don't. I've been pretty straight with how I felt about this all along. Is that it's been time to move on, and don't keep in mind, Adrian Martinez was benched here at Nebraska for Luke McCaffrey. I mean, it's not like he was just playing great his whole career here at Nebraska. But he was the guy that Scott Frost kind of pinned, the whole hopes of the program,
which I think hurt Scott Frost.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. That's why we're in the case that they are. But at the same time, Adrian always needed a little bit more help. Probably didn't have it in the skill position.
He didn't.
Play.
Certainly didn't have it at the offensive line.
But we're on the biggest thing is the offensive line.
I get that, and I am with you on that. He did not have a good offensive line. But that put aside, like you have to look further than the statistics with Adrian Martinez. Would you agree with that? I mean, you can. It just doesn't make any sense to not mention like the fact that when it came down to it at the end of games, he found a way to lose.
Yeah,
not every game, and I'm not putting it all on Adrian Martinez, like I said, but he found ways to lose.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly was not the most clutch quarterback of all time. In fact, would be near the bottom of that category. He's got all these school records at Nebraska, I'm sure, but his winning percentage is not one of them.
Which is why you have to look past statistics.
Yeah, but again, some of those statistics do stick up for him. Again, that he was pressured on 42% of his dropbacks, the most in the country last year. In any case, so they've got him ranked at tier 7. You got to go through a few more tiers before you find Nebraska.
This is where I am going to push back a lot when we get down to it. And I don't even want to bring up statistics because statistics showing Casey Thompson was the superior passer than Adrian Martinez. I know when you look on the feet and you look on the ground, sure, Adrian Martinez is going to have that leg up. And we don't know how Casey Thompson is going to look in the clutch. This season will show. I know that they had their own fair share of issues at Texas, but Adrian Martinez in tier 7 doesn't make any sense to me. I will straight up say it. Tier 7 for Adrian Martinez makes no sense to me.
See, to me, that's about where I think he should be. Again, because it puts him right in that 25th to 35th best quarterback in the nation. That's about where I think Adrian Martinez lands. Basically needs help to kind of get you over the top, but has the athleticism, not a future NFL guy, but a solid college quarterback. That's what I think Adrian Martinez is. Obviously more of a strength in the ground game than he is in the passing game, again, which is going to be fascinating to see how Kansas State uses him because they use a running quarterback when they have one generally. But he wants to pass a little bit more. So we'll kind of see how that plays out there in Manhattan.
The other thing that's interesting about Adrian Martinez is you mentioned like a team like Iowa. If you put him in a different system, would he be more successful? Obviously, we'll never know.
Yeah.
But I think if you put Adrian in front of a better offensive line, I think he would look better. I do.
Yeah.
But come on, let's not act like he was a great passer.
No,
he wasn't.
Definitely not pretending that.
He wasn't.
No.
And that's just the reality of it.
So we skip a few tiers, get all the way down to tier 14, entitled "Is There a Diamond in the Rough?" That's where you find Nebraska's quarterback situation. Nebraska's Casey Thompson, Logan Smothers, and Chubba Purdy all listed. And the little write-up on Nebraska for that is Nebraska waved goodbye to Martinez, and while a change was needed, none of his potential replacements is a surefire improvement. And certainly interesting, to say the least. Obviously, here closer to the situation, we don't feel like it's just going to be randomly picked here. We think Casey Thompson, and no, Casey Thompson was selected as a starter out of the portal. I'm still intrigued to see if Chubba Purdy can push him. Logan Smothers, I feel like the writing is somewhat on the wall as far as his potential to be the leader here. Again, because he started a game and then you went and got a starter out of the portal. Not only that, but a younger player to push the starter. So
right,
kind of is what it is to me there. But it is kind of crazy to see sometimes from the outside perspective. I mean, we all are very excited about Casey Thompson and watch his tape. And I'm not belittling him at all or trying to deny the hype or, take it down a notch. I'm just saying nationally, he doesn't have the same respect that I think that we want to give him yet. And I think I think that helps, though. I think that he's going to have to earn it. And that should be still out in front of him. But he's certainly had shown that if he's got your number, like he did against Oklahoma's defense, like he did against Kansas defense, he can put up some numbers.
The other thing that I'll say about Casey Thompson that I feel like hasn't been mentioned as much, I feel like there's a sense of him buying in. And I know that doesn't mean that he's going to be a good quarterback on the field, but it seems like since he's shown up in Lincoln, he's bought in. Like he's ready for this to be his team. He's ready to get going. I mean, at the spring game, he let him out of the tunnel. Like this, it just seems like this coaching staff has faith in him, and he has bought into Nebraska, and he has bought into this team and this program. And that makes me excited about Casey Thompson. That's a lot of things that people haven't really talked about as much. And I know because a lot of people are worried because Adrian Martinez did the same thing. But I think I would be shocked if Casey Thompson wasn't the starter. And I would be shocked if we look back at the season and say he wasn't an upgrade at the quarterback position.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that here in a little bit when we get back to this conversation. I just thought it was fascinating to see, just from an outsider perspective, what Nebraska's quarterback situation looks like. Certainly, Adrian played a lot more in his career thus far than Casey has, and there was that little bit of a quarterback battle at Texas when Casey was there. So maybe that kind of goes into it. But I still feel, especially in the passing game, Casey Thompson's an upgrade over Martinez. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Overall, what if he's not? What does that mean for Nebraska's team if these outside pundits are correct? So we'll get to that. But coming up next, we've got our weekly guest, Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Hopefully can break down some of this Big Ten baseball nonsense as we get closer to getting in the NCAA tournament and the road to Omaha. That's coming up next here on The Block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Southeast Community College is training tomorrow's workforce today with our nearly 60 career and technical programs. We are doing our part to help employers fill vacancies during this current labor shortage, graduating students with skill sets employers are seeking. We're also helping to upskill the workforce by adding short-term credentials like certificates in many programs so that employees can get retraining quickly. Learn more about upskilling with SCC at southeast.edu/academics. SCC, your path to possible.
Welcome to Heartland Flats Beatrice, your home for modern Midwest living. Our finely crafted apartments boast spacious 1- and 2-bedroom floor plans with incredible amenities, including stainless steel appliances, luxury vinyl flooring, modern electronic locks, and are pet-friendly. Each apartment has its own in-unit washer and dryer, and our innovative utility bundling saves you money. Call 402-251-3020 to schedule your showing today. That's 402-251-3020. Heartland Flats Beatrice, modern Midwest living.
2022 is all about staying well. And guess what? There are lots of easy ways to take care of your mental and physical health every day, like eating right and exercising, taking vitamins, drinking water, scheduling those annual doctor's visits, or just resting. That's right, even a quick nap counts. Because let's be honest, these days we could all use a little more wellness in our lives. So stay well, Nebraska. For more ways you can stay healthy, visit staywellnebraska.com.
The weather in Nebraska is unpredictable every day, and that's no fun when you're trying to golf. Double Eagle Golf in West Lincoln is now open to let you play in perfect indoor conditions daily. Double Eagle Golf has 5 simulator bays to hit in, by far the most in Lincoln. It has a fully stocked bar with beers and cocktails for you to enjoy while you play. Double Eagle Golf is open each weekday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., so you can start the day there, take a client over lunch, or end the night with friends. Check out Double Eagle Golf today inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
Springtime is here, and it's time to get to work on outdoor projects. Deck City is a great place to start as Lincoln's local source for everything decks. Deck City has everything you need to build a deck of your dreams, from treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and TimberTech composite decking. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671. Go online at deckcityne.com or visit their new location just north of 33rd and Cornhusker Highway.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Bagels and Joe is in full summer mode. They'll add cold foam to the top of any iced coffee. Plus, they now have a Joe Coffee Club. Get unlimited drip coffee for just $8.95 per month. And don't forget their delicious breakfast burritos and sandwiches. Bagels and Joe, 4 Lincoln locations.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Expect increasing cloud cover. We will have the chance of showers later this afternoon and a cool Wednesday with a high of only around 68. North winds at 10. Tonight we'll be looking at mostly cloudy skies before clearing towards early morning and a low of 46. Much warmer tomorrow with a high of 79. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up. That frog will boil. As a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans, it's a story that rings true. We learn to endure the heat in silence. We apply what we learn to life, the bills, the job, the family, things we're expected to handle with ease. When life heats up around us, we just try to stay afloat. We let the water boil. Reaching out isn't easy, but you've never been interested in easy. You join because you are not afraid of hard work. You are not a frog. If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait until the water boils. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the block on 93.7 The Ticket, and we are just wrapping up our conversation about quarterback tiers and where Nebraska's situation lands. We'll jump back to that maybe at the top of the hour, about 5 o'clock. We'll kind of talk about what happens if Nebraska doesn't have an upgrade at quarterback like we're all hoping for. What does that mean? How could the rest of the team rally around that and still be able to get some wins? It's kind of fun to go through those different situations, though it's not too fun to think if your quarterback doesn't improve. But in any case, it's a possibility, so we better prepare for it just in case. But for now, let's bring on Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Maybe we'll get into some football here in a second. But first, Evan, we got to talk baseball for you. Were you did you pay pretty close attention to the Big Ten tournament? Were you one of the few people out in the crowd, I suppose?
Well, I tell you, I was not one of the hardy souls who were up until 2 or 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
For some of those games that went on. I followed along. I wasn't there. It reminded me a lot of 2018 when Nebraska didn't make it either. And it was was, it was unfortunate. A lot of empty seats, and there's some good baseball, but a lot of long games too. And we had the weather that wiped out the first day on Wednesday. So, certainly not the type of event that everyone had been hoping and planning for, but it's what we got.
What do you think about the tournament? How it turned out? Because I think it's very odd. Obviously, it all kind of revolves around Rutgers not ending up getting into the NCAA tournament, but Michigan's crowned the champions despite the fact that Rutgers only lost once in a double elimination tournament, and then they don't make the tournament. It just feels like these things were not aligning right for Big Ten to look good down the stretch, and how much they care about baseball, or how much. I mean, to be combined with the fact that you're saying they're sending athletes out there to play up until 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal. And I know after the first day, the coaches sort of got together and they considered moving it to a single elimination tournament and some of the different format tweaks, and ultimately decided they wanted to stick with what they had. And when you do that, you have those weird circumstances where you play late into the night, and it wasn't ideal in the sense that, the Big Ten, if they want to take that next step as a baseball conference, I mean, that's just not how you do it. You look around and you see how some of your major conference tournaments play out. And certainly the Big Tens would have looked better had Nebraska been there. There's no doubt about it. But it was a reminder that baseball is not the priority in that conference. It's obviously football. It's basketball. I mean, heck, it's even softball when you see what they turned out for their NCAA tournament too. And so your end result is you're a 2-bid league this year, which is a setback for the Big Ten. There's no doubt about it. You got to go back 8 years for the last time they had that little of representation in the postseason. The event was a reminder, and we knew this following Nebraska, that like if you get in to that tournament, anything can happen, and that's sure enough what we saw with Michigan winning the thing as a 5. It was a big disappointment not seeing Rutgers get in there. There's no way around it. It didn't help that some of the other conference tournaments in the country had some upset winners, and that took away some bids. But when you win, I think it was 44 games the way that Rutgers did, when you're the top scoring team in the country, you're top 20 fielding team, you're senior laden, you have the best sort of season in program history, man, it stinks. And it would have been fun to see what that team could have done in the postseason. Unfortunately, we won't get that chance. And you look at Maryland too as the other team that gets in. Nationally, a lot of people thinking maybe they're a top 8 sort of seed, and instead they get stuck at 15 and potentially having to face number 2 Stanford just to have a shot at the College World Series. So no doubt about it, the Big Ten finished out from a perception standpoint a really disappointing baseball season.
What can the Big Ten do to put the Big Ten baseball kind of on the map and put it on the forefront, make it look like they care? Do you think that there's a possibility of it, or is it always going to be weather in the northern states and it's just an uphill battle?
Well, I mean, it's taken strides in the last 10 years. There's no doubt about it. I mean, back to when Nebraska joined the Big Ten, the baseball climate in that conference was really poor. I mean, they were a 1-bid team, maybe 2 in a good year. It had been decades since a team from the league had made the College World Series. And as it went along, you saw the football money came in and started to overflow into baseball. You saw Indiana make the run. You saw Michigan get into the championship series in 2019. And so I think that's from a perception standpoint, that's the next step, is not just, hey, can we get 3, 4, 5 bids, but can these programs make a super regional and get into the College World Series more than once every 7 or 8 years, but somewhat regularly? Can you make that happen? And we'll see how that goes. I think what's more interesting though is as it looks more and more likely that a lot of these partial scholarship sports move to unlimited scholarships and unlimited coaching that you can start bringing in. That's when you're going to see how much investment the conference and how much investment individual schools have, because it will be up to in theory, if this thing passes, it'll be up to the leagues to say, okay, you can have 30 scholarships instead of 11.7. You can have 5 assistant coaches if you want to do that. And as much talk as any league can put out there, it's sort of a situation where you're probably going to have to put your money where your mouth is, and we'll see what kind of investment the Big Ten wants to make. I think you look at the upcoming TV deal for football and how that'll trickle down to the other sports. They're going to have the resources to compete with anybody else. It's just a matter of how much do they care about that sport relative to some of these other sports that they find success in.
Evan, a ton of expectations for Nebraska this year. Do you think this year is more of kind of an enigma, or is this just kind of the direction that Nebraska baseball is going to be headed over the next couple of years with such a young team?
Well, you hope not. I mean, it was certainly disappointing. They were the preseason Big Ten favorites from everybody nationally. You don't even make the Big Ten tournament. I mean, that stings. There's no way around it. And sort of the knee-jerk response is to blame injuries on the pitching side, but you look a little closer, and the guys that filled in actually did a pretty good job. So I don't think that you can point to that and say that's the reason that they tanked. I think the offense was they just weren't a good hitting lineup. You got to go back to the 70s to see the last time Nebraska, from a batting average perspective, hit that poorly, and so that cost them a lot of games. Untimely errors. You talk to some of the players and they would say that the leadership maybe wasn't as strong as it was from that 2021 team with so many big personalities that they had on that particular unit. And so you look ahead now and you see, okay, they've got 10 junior college players coming in. You've got 7 high school prospects, a lot of them, fairly highly rated. And so, how much of we talk about football roster turnover all the time. Well, the baseball roster turnover is going to be fairly significant too. And what does that look like from an experience and a leadership standpoint? I think college baseball recruiting, when you talk about bringing in junior college players, is a little bit different from football. Usually it's the motivation from the baseball side is these guys just need to develop. They need extra innings. They need games. They need at-bats. And then it's not uncommon for players to break out at that level, and then they slide right into a major role with a D1 program. So I think that's something Nebraska's banking on. They've had a lot of success there recently. Cade Povich, who was a second-round pick a couple of years, last summer, was a junior college player, and they hope to hit on a few more of those guys too. So I think when you look at the activity that Nebraska's had, both in the junior college ranks and through the portal, that would indicate to me that the staff was clearly not happy with how this season went. It wasn't close to their standards, and they're working to make things look quite a bit different next season.
Evan Blaine of the Omaha World Herald joining us here on our usual here on Wednesday. I did want to transition to football and ask you about a topic we've been talking about. ESPN really dove in, regardless of what you think about their rankings. They've ranked all 131 quarterback situations, so they did a little bit of homework. They had their tier 1 is the Heisman or bust with C.J. Stroud and Caleb Williams and Bryce Young, so they're kind of going along that path. And then they have Adrian Martinez at tier 7, and interestingly enough, Nebraska's quarterback situation didn't come up until tier 14. Do you think that there's a chance that Nebraska might be downgrading at quarterback this season? Or, do you think that that's maybe just kind of an outsider's perspective?
That's interesting. I had not seen that particular article, but that's a pretty big drop off from tier 7 to 14 there. It's going to be one of the great side stories of this season, right? Like, I think a lot of people, and I'll include myself in that, will be paying attention to what goes on in Manhattan, and we'll see how Adrian Martinez does there. It's sort of like a science experiment where you change a variable and you see, what's changed, and you draw conclusions from that. So, like, you look at the last 4 years and all the frustrations and no bowl games. Now we change the variable. What does Adrian Martinez look like in Manhattan with a different sort of offense, with a different sort of skill set around him? And then conversely, what does Nebraska look like with Scott Frost still at the helm, with a different quarterback, somebody who maybe has different strengths and different traits, somebody who I think by a lot of accounts has better field vision, is maybe quicker to pull the trigger than Adrian was, not as fast, certainly not as explosive with his legs. How does that all shake out? I don't know. I kind of feel like I would not go out. I would not say that Casey Thompson is a downgrade from Adrian Martinez, just because of what I think Nebraska is going to ask him to do. It's going to be more of a pass-centric offense where, again, vision and knowledge of the playbook and all these other things come into play. And so I think those are strengths of Casey Thompson. I think you can make the argument that the supporting cast, certainly from a running back and receiver perspective, will be an upgrade. But then, the great unknown remains the offensive line. If guys are getting to your quarterback, then guys are getting to your quarterback, and it doesn't matter if you're a Heisman contender or, a 14-tier sort of guy. You're just going to be feeling that pressure and not being able to make the plays that you want to make. So it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be closer maybe than people think. But no, I don't think it's a significant downgrade for Nebraska.
Yeah, I don't think so either,
No.
as much as that, and certainly, like you were saying, not in the passing game. It's just going to be kind of fascinating. I suppose there's a lot more tape on Adrian Martinez, or maybe it's a better household name at this point. But there is that offensive line problem that might not have quite gone away for Nebraska at this time. We'll kind of see. Are you kind of gearing up for the June camps session? Are you big into future recruiting, or is the transfer portal kind of limited that a little bit, as much as kind of thinking as, because transfer portal is like right away, these guys got to plug and play. When you go back to traditional recruiting, you're kind of projecting 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, it's sort of that shift this month back to more of the traditional recruiting rhythms that we're used to, right? Like usually in years past, the spring was about building those early relationships with the 23s or the future classes. And then, then they get on campus, and then you would see a lot of official visits in the fall. Well, I think you're starting to see a major trend kind of shift now, where spring is going to be a lot more about portal season. And then you're going to start seeing a lot more officials in the summer as guys try to figure out what they want to do ahead of that early signing period in the winter. So certainly in this instance, yeah, I mean, you think about how much we focused and talked about and written about the portal from, December up to this point. And it feels like Nebraska is probably done in the portal. You can't say that for sure, but certainly the turn of the calendar sort of marks this shift in focus now to the 2023s. Got a major weekend here with both official visitors and Friday Night Lights, and you look down on the next handful of weekends here this month too, and you have some other really notable in-state and out-of-state prospects moving forward. And so, of course, it's interesting because it's all being done sort of with the backdrop of the fact that Nebraska needs to win this year, right? Like if they don't make a bowl game this year, then a lot of this will probably fall by the wayside a little bit, but you put in the work now. The recruiting operation has clearly been, renovated, rejuvenated with some of their recent staff hires. And so either way, it's going to be a fun weekend. I think we'll see some different prospects in here showing out, sort of like we did with, Dylan Raiola in the past, or Micah Parsons in the past. We'll probably see, who steps up when the lights come on. And if nothing else, it's football in June, and who can complain about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm counting down the days now that June has started till football season. He's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, thanks for joining us once again today.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there he goes. As always, great insight into football and baseball there. As we get kind of excited for that too. Are you ready, Nate, for baseball tournament to kind of get the road to Omaha going outside of Virginia Tech? Virginia Tech's
see,
there.
that's why I'm so excited, Bach. You already know that.
I know.
Postseason college baseball is awesome.
Yeah,
There are very few things that are better.
Oh, just postseason, anything's awesome because it's do or die time. It's play with championship time is around the corner. Speaking of championships, I don't think I've lost in shootout with Bach. The substitute game for shootout
I actually
was
don't
strict.
think you have.
So we'll see if you can beat me today. Give us a call 402-464-5685. If you do, you get $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. If you don't, well, then you still get a chance to win $50 to Buffalo Wings and Rings if you're caller number 3 and I win. So that's how it works. We're going to do that. I think it'll be 2013 trivia. Coming up next year, it's Shootout with Strick, but I'm in for Strick today as he's on his way to Nebraska. Give us a call, 402-464-5685. Once again, first to do so, we'll have a chance at $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. That's coming up next year on The Block.
Hi, this is Dave Osted from Osted's Golf. Let us make this your best season yet. Voted a top 100 fitter by Golf Digest, our master fitters have been trained by the same guys that build clubs for PGA pros like Rory, Tiger, DJ, and Jordan. Have old clubs? Trade them in Osted's Value Guide, or have our club specialists get your clubs swinging like new. Go to our website and make your fitting appointment. You're a click away from a better golf game. Play better, have fun, and shop Osted's.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Bagels and Joe is in full summer mode. They'll add cold foam to the top of any iced coffee. Plus, they now have a Joe Coffee Club. Get unlimited drip coffee for just $8.95 per month. And don't forget their delicious breakfast burritos and sandwiches. Bagels and Joe, 4 Lincoln locations.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Springtime is here, and it's time to get to work on outdoor projects. Deck City is a great place to start as Lincoln's local source for everything decks. Deck City has everything you need to build the deck of your dreams. From treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and TimberTech composite decking. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671. Go online at deckcityne.com or visit their new location just north of 33rd and Cornhusker Highway.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I can actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels and Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels and Joe.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
This is Dan Friedman. Between 2010 and 2019, distracted driving caused more than 40,000 car crashes in Nebraska, resulting in over 14,000 severe injuries and deaths. Please keep your eyes on the road. If you have a smartphone, put it away while you're behind the wheel. It will help keep our community safe and secure. This message is brought to you by Friedman Law Offices, helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
That's right. It's time to play the game. Shootout with Bach right here on 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to On the Block with Strick and Bach. But today it's On the Block with Nate and Bach. We need a new name for what I feel.
That's right. Well, it's a treble.
Out the gate with Bach and Nate. How's that sound? I'm a big Kentucky Derby guy. I like to bet on horses.
I don't think we can rebrand just for one day all the everything.
Yeah, probably not a great idea. But it always makes me feel bad when the intro comes on and it's the Nebraska Hall of Famer. They're gonna go out the Big East champs. It's like, no.
Well,
and everyone gets disappointed. It's like, who is this guy? This isn't Eric Strickland, but
you probably weren't alive during Strick's time at Nebraska.
What was his senior year?
96?
96. No.
I
was born in 98. So I would have just missed it.
Yeah.
But then the little Nathan would come out and put on a Nebraska hat. That would be cool.
Right?
Sometimes, no, that would be pretty cool, though. Just like randomly, I was like, oh, Nebraska hat. No, it's all Notre Dame stuff. But this is beside the point. Shootout with Bach is about to get another year way, and the year is 2013. Jason on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Jason, how you feeling about the year 2013?
I was alive and kicking, so we'll see how we go.
I like it. I think that's a good start. Who knows what Bach was doing in 2013, right out of college? So I'm hoping Bach doesn't remember too much from that
Probably
time
wasn't,
period.
Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot in general.
So, Jason, stay on the line for us. We're going to make sure that we get Bach's answers first, so you know how many points you have to get heading into your question. So, Bach, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we will start in. Okay, yeah, I turned out. All right, we will start in 3, 2, and 1. This league reaches an agreement and ends their lockout in January. MLB or NHL?
MLB.
Nope, it was the NHL. He records his 10,000 career assist against Houston. Steve Nash or Jason Kidd?
Steve Nash.
That is correct. This Vikings tight end wins the Pro Bowl MVP. Kyle Rudolph or Visante Shanko?
Did Kyle Rudolph win the MVP? I'm going with Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, it was Kyle Rudolph. That's surprising. He releases his third studio album, The 2020 Experience. Bruno Mars or Justin Timberlake?
Timberlake.
That is correct. And LeBron wins his second title in as many years with huge help of a huge 3 in Game 6 by who?
Ray Allen.
That is correct.
Big Ray Allen guy.
Well, the text line can't come at me today. That's what I know. The text line was coming at me yesterday saying that my questions were too easy for you. Those are pretty hard questions.
Yeah, I had no clue Kyle Rudolph won that.
Kyle Rudolph did.
2 choices.
And I thought I was going to get you. Jason Kidd does have 10,000 assists.
Yeah.
But he had it, I think, by 2009. Because 2013 would have been his last year in the NBA, and he finished with over 12,000. I think he's second or third on the career assist total.
One of the all-time greats.
So it actually was I thought I was going to stump you on those, so I will say, Bach, that was pretty impressive. Jason, now that you know that Bach got 5 points today, he didn't get 6, which is a surprise, but he did get 5. How are you feeling?
I feel slighted. Those were pretty easy, so I'm hoping I get a little home cooking on my end as well.
Well, Jason, I will tell you, if those are easy, I have a good feeling that you're going to do pretty well. Are you ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right, we will start in 3, 2, and 1. This Ravens quarterback wins Super Bowl MVP. Joe Flacco or Trent Dilfer?
Flacco.
That's correct. This Clippers guard was All-Star Game MVP. Chris Paul or Jamal Crawford?
Chris Paul.
That's correct. He regains his position as the richest man in the world. Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates?
Zuckerberg.
It's actually Bill Gates. She wins her second French title. Serena Williams or Maria Sharapova?
Phil Williams.
That is correct. And he admits to doping and loses every Tour de France title.
Lance Armstrong.
That is correct. Didn't even need the buzzer. That will be 5 points. Jason, I will say, the richest man in the world, Bill Gates.
Yeah,
I know it. I knew it.
See, that's the thing. And that's why I'm giving you grief. I knew that you knew it. So you had a chance to beat Bach. But luckily for you, this next one is our tiebreaker. So you guys tied after the first round. So you both had 5 points. It'll go to a tiebreaker. So, Jason, all you have to do is say over or under. And we're going to ask Bach this question. So here's the tiebreaker, Bach. In 2013, Alex Rodriguez would have one of the harshest suspensions in Major League Baseball history. How many games was the suspension?
Ooh, that is a good question. I'm going to go with it's close to like a full season. I think 125.
125. Jason, now is your time to defeat Bach. Is it over or under 125 games?
You said the word harshest, but it felt like a trick. I'm going under.
Jason is going to go under, and I don't even know what to say. Jason, I'm sorry. It was 211
oh my
games.
Goodness, yeah.
Alex Rodriguez was suspended for 211
Season
games.
and a half then.
It was a very, very harsh punishment. I think it's the harshest suspension without getting kicked out of baseball. I don't know if that's correct, so don't quote
Sounds
me on
right.
that.
My goodness.
But it was something like that. But Jason, thank you for playing. You put up a good fight against Bach. 5 points is very impressive. Go ahead and hang up now because the third caller will get $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. Bach does play for the people. So again, Jason, make sure that you hang up. And the third caller will get $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. And I will have to play Bach a shoutouts because his streak continues.
Boom shakalaka.
Yes.
Give me a hell yeah. I said give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I was actually really looking forward to you losing today. I was. Yours were harder.
Yeah, I think
I would say yours were harder. But the Alex Rodriguez one, 125, because I believe he was suspended twice. I think he's had 2 separate suspensions, and I think that's why his second one was so harsh. I mean, 211 games.
That's a long time.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot. But so if you do 211 games, good for you. And you should probably call tomorrow, 424-645-685. I believe tomorrow will be shootout with Strix, so it's been fun. But luckily, Bach's reign will come to an end. I guess good for you, Bach. You're still officially undefeated at
I feel
shootout
pretty
with
good about
Strix.
this, yeah.
No, that's pretty impressive. So shout out to Bach.
That's right.
Boom shakalaka.
I love
There
the
you
boom shakalaka. So that was Shootout with Bach. Thank you all for participating. We got our third caller on the line, Bach, if you want to go grab that right now. But we'll head into our next hour, and we will continue our conversation. Adrian Martinez versus Casey Thompson. Very different tiers. Adrian Martinez in tier 7 of college quarterbacks. Casey Thompson way down at tier 14. Is Casey Thompson really that much of a downgrade? And if so, what does that mean for Nebraska football? We'll have all that coming up on the next hour of On the Block. You listen to 93.7 The Ticket.
$93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Expect increasing cloud cover. We will have the chance of showers later this afternoon and a cool Wednesday with a high of only around 68. North winds at 10. Tonight we'll be looking at mostly cloudy skies before clearing towards early morning and a low of 46. Much warmer tomorrow with a high of 79. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Springtime is here, and it's time to get to work on outdoor projects. Deck City is a great place to start as Lincoln's local source for everything decks. Deck City has everything you need to build the deck of your dreams, from treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and TimberTech composite decking. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671. Go online at deckcityne.com or visit their new location just north of 33rd and Cornhusker Highway.
There's not many things worse than having plumbing issues at your home or business, but it's even worse if the problem isn't fixed correctly. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time, and they specialize in several things: general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $22.07 per hour, and other select jobs starting at $23.77 per hour, with wages growing up to $29.71 per hour. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! You're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Ortega connoisseur, Jake Bakoven.
I like Ortega and I like pepper.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Hold up.
Happy Wednesday to everybody out there. This is On the Block, and we are anxiously awaiting Strick's return. He is actually in a U-Haul right now on his way to Nebraska with all his stuff. He's moving here so that he can be in studio and do the show with us. That's talk about commitment and dedication. That's Strick, and I guess you wouldn't expect any less for a guy that was in the league for that long. Going to be a fun week as the NBA Finals do get started tomorrow. We'll talk about that in our Hitting the Hardwood segment. Lots to go over as far as the basketball world is concerned. Trey McGowan's off to the pros. Chris Murray returning to Iowa, so that could mean something in the Big Ten. Paulo Banchero admits he's not an OKC Thunder fan. He cheered against the Thunder. Who does such a thing? I've never heard of such
who would
a
have
thing.
thought, right?
Yeah. So lots to talk about there. But we did want to open up still with the quarterback situation at Nebraska. It's now before we talked about it, it was just another article on ESPN. Now, after we talked about it, ESPN's like, oh, we got to rush this to the front page. And so if you go on to ESPN.com right now, you can find all 131 college football quarterback situations ranked in tiers. And we've been talking about it all day. And it's interesting because it certainly does not have a whole lot of respect for Nebraska's current quarterback situation, which is in tier 14, which is labeled, "Is there a diamond in the rough?" Nebraska's Casey Thompson, Logan Smothers, and Chubba Purdy are all there. And I'll go ahead and kind of just so you kind of know about the other situations that are in that similar tier. And I think that goes down to 20 tiers, by the way. Or what am I going to look at here?
Yeah, it's 21.
That's
No, 22.
25 tiers.
23. Oh my goodness,
there's a lot of
gracious.
tiers. So there's 25 tiers. Nebraska's in tier 14, so maybe that makes you feel a little bit better, but shouldn't do a whole lot better considering Nebraska's previous quarterback, Adrian Martinez, is in tier 7, somewhat surprisingly. Nebraska not finding themselves until tier 14, along with Virginia Tech's situation there with them. Transfer coming in, Grant Wells there.
Grant
I'm a big
Wells.
Virginia Tech fan.
Yeah.
But Auburn's situation with Zach Calzada, Iowa State's situation as well. So it's kind of interesting to see Nebraska there. For what it's worth, they are above Iowa, who is in tier 15. And I would hope so. And I think there should be a little bit more separation because Nebraska's last quarterback, probably, and I'm seeing it as their third quarterback in Logan Smothers, was better than both of Iowa's quarterbacks last season, at least in that game. And I know Spencer Petras kind of beat up down the end of that game, but still.
I would agree with that. But this is the thing that's really glaring to me, Bach, now that I'm thinking about it. If you had Adrian Martinez staying at Nebraska, by these tiers, he would technically be tied for the third best quarterback in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
I just cannot wrap my head around the fact that national journalists, sports journalists, are projecting Adrian Martinez to be this high. And maybe it's just me being a hater. I don't know. Like I genuinely cannot process that they're saying Adrian Martinez is in 7 and Casey Thompson, not even in his own world, in his own league, he's partnered with Chubba Purdy and Logan Smothers in tier 14. Like, I just don't see what they're seeing. I really don't.
Yeah, it's interesting that that's kind of the outsider's perspective, because it does very much feel like Casey Thompson's job to lose and his job to begin with.
Absolutely.
And that was kind of noted again from the first spring practice from the offensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator Mark Whipple, coming in and saying, kind of responding to the question of why I was taking first string reps is because, like, oh, well, he's brought in here to be the first string.
Right.
Like that's kind of the idea. So, yeah, and I think that, I think people were somewhat impressed with the limited amount that we got to see in the spring game with with some of the backups. Certainly not Logan Smothers, I suppose. He struggled a little bit.
That was rough.
But yeah, with Chubba Purdy in the least, and I'm still kind of interested to see if they can push. But it just kind of is interesting overall. Not so much these tiers. We've talked plenty about it. The comparisons to Adrian Martinez will always be there, and we're not going to stop doing it because it's fun, and I can't wait to see the results of it. But just kind of in its own feeling here is maybe, well, let's say they're right. Nebraska's been in this situation certainly in the past, when you think about a quarterback coming in to be the savior for the program. And last time this happened, when a coach was kind of on the hot seat and went out and grabbed a pocket passer in Tanner Lee, it didn't go well. It didn't even make it to conference play before the athletic director was fired. Obviously, the athletic director is safe in this situation, but Scott Frost can't start 2-2. I mean, he can't have a bad start. And so it's going to take some time for this offense to get going. Hopefully they, hit the ground running in their time in Ireland. But I think that there is a possibility with Casey Thompson's limited upside, I suppose, as a runner. Certainly a better passer than Adrian. We both agree on that. Has said, still will make mistakes. He's not Troy Aikman yet or anything like that. But he's a solid passer, and that's what he's brought in to be.
He's proven.
And he's proven. Yeah. Through 24 passes, not even as a full starter there at Texas. So that's it. But the one part about it is that offensive line any better? I think there's certainly a possibility that the offensive pass protection isn't a whole lot better. And now, instead of Adrian bailing you out all the time with his 70-yard runs, Casey Thompson can do it here and there, but he also can't take as many shots.
Would you say at any
guy.
point in time, though, we can classify Adrian as bailing the team out?
Certainly on 70-yard runs.
I think loosely, though, like bailing you out to what extent? Like you're still losing 9 games last season.
Well, yeah, but again, you had a high pressure rate, the most in the country,
and that's
and still
Yes.
not a great passing year, but at least not an awful passing
I
year.
think there's something to be said for standing in the pocket and delivering the ball, though. Like that's just break it down very, very simple. There were a few times that we saw Adrian Martinez stand in the pocket and deliver a pass downfield. And I feel like that's Casey Thompson's strength. I really do. And I think there's something to be said for that, too, if that's the offense that Nebraska is going to run this season, which I think it is. I mean, when you look at Mark Whipple and the offenses that he has put together, Kenny Pickett is a perfect example at Pittsburgh. And if you look at Casey Thompson and how he played at Oklahoma, you're going to assume that it's going to look a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
And
it has to. I mean, he's not built like Adrian. He can't
No.
take that beating in the running game.
And I think that's a good thing. And if you had Adrian Martinez run that type of offense, I just don't think he'd be able to do it. Like, I just don't think his skill set is fit to do anything like that.
It's certainly not as it's not the type of offense that you would run him. But it's kind of interesting because during the break we were talking about it and kind of where you land on Adrian. You could say he's good or bad or average or whatever. We kind of at least came to the conclusion that it feels like he was solid, right? I wouldn't quite say great or anything, but a good Power 5 quarterback. But they built the offense around him like he was great. They built the offense around him like he was going to be the next big thing. And obviously, after his freshman year, people thought that might be the case. This offense can't be built completely around the quarterback. Hopefully, in that, so it's kind of a two-part thing again on the offensive line, which got better, I think, as the year progressed, but it's still been years since Nebraska's had a 1,000-yard back. They've been, second in the Big Ten rushing last year. A lot of that Adrian Martinez again,
right?
And that's how the running game's been at Nebraska since Scott Frost has been here. Since Devine Ozigbo ran for 1,000 yards in his first season. So I the way that I envision this offense is very much a drop. When you pass, you're going to drop back. I don't know how many RPOs they're going to have. Certainly going to be in there. That's the modern age of college football.
And Casey Thompson can run it,
and he can run those. And I don't think you're going to have. I don't think they should have 6 or 7 designed run plays for Casey Thompson.
I agree.
Maybe one.
I
or
don't
two.
think they will,
and I don't think they will. So I think you're going to do what a lot of people have been calling for all along. Not so much flinging the ball all over the field, which I think they're going to get lost at times and want to do. And they're going to have to do if they can't get the traditional run game going. But I think you've got a stable of backs there, and we're talking 4 deep now, but certainly the bigger guys, and Jaquez Yant, Anthony Grant, Ramir Johnson, and then Gabe Irvin coming back from injury.
Right. Yeah.
And then the most forgotten about guy in the world is obviously Marquise Stepp. Right. Maybe, that's a kind of a power downhill back too if you really needed him in there. They've got the running backs to do it, but can they get that traditional run game going so they don't have to fling the ball around everywhere? It just kind of gets you to the feeling of, the question for me, though, is that we're all kind of seeing this hope that you have an upgrade at quarterback. And in the passing game, again, we agree. They do.
But I don't even think that's debatable.
It's not debatable, but it's not necessarily going to translate to touchdowns or success if the offensive line isn't significantly better. I don't believe. So
I'd agree with
that's
that.
kind of where the question comes in is, could Nebraska win without an upgrade statistically, without an upgrade in the passing game this upcoming season? Or is it still like the offense has been for years, all on the quarterback? We need the quarterback to win. Or can you be like Minnesota? Can you be like Iowa? Can you be like Wisconsin and win despite your quarterback not putting up gaudy numbers?
And that's it. That's what you would need. Because I would say we could be wrong because there's a lot of transfers, and I think they're going to have a lot of say in how this season looks. I would say if I had to say right now which team is more talented, I'd probably say last year's team. But if I had to say right now which quarterback is going to get in the way of the team's success moving down into the fourth quarter, I'd probably say Adrian Martinez. So if Casey Thompson can just limit the turnovers, limit the bad plays at the end of games that we saw Adrian Martinez do a few times, the special teams not even just improves, it's just not.
Yeah.
I think that we have a different season. So there are a lot of factors that go into this. But if you had to say the same circumstances and Nebraska has even a similar situation at quarterback or a slight downgrade, which is what ESPN is projecting, then I think it could be rough. I told you this off air, I say probably 5 games. Because you do have an easier schedule. You're replacing Michigan State and Ohio State with Rutgers and Indiana. Look, Rutgers and Indiana are very winnable games. I think you keep your 3 that you had, your 2 non-Power 5 schools you're going to win against. And then you have your Northern, who is bad again. And then you have Rutgers, Indiana. That's 5. I think there's an upgrade at the quarterback position. I think there's going to be an upgrade on special teams. I think that the coaching staff is better suited moving forward to have success at Nebraska than they did last season. Insert Mickey Joseph and Mark Whipple. But it'll be very interesting. And I'm curious to hear what you have to say, Bach, because you've seen the Adrian Martinez experience. You've seen it fail. And I just don't see a situation where Casey comes in and he ends up being worse. That's the thing that surprises me the most about these tiers is that's a significant drop off. Like, it's not like we're saying, okay, Adrian Martinez is tier 7, Casey Thompson is 9. Like, you flip a few things and maybe they're interchangeable. No, like this is 7 and 14. And they don't even have Casey Thompson listed as the presumable starter. Like, it's a competition. So it'll be very interesting to see. And I'm not letting it worry me yet, because I think this shows you that a lot of these national reporters don't look specifically at certain situations, certain problems, certain issues. So I'm not worried yet, but it does make you think. It makes you think.
Well, I think part of my hesitation to fully buy in on the completely new look Huskers is, for one, and I was talking about this with Mark too, is that it's kind of funny that the reason why we're just giving up hope, basically, we can't find a reason for belief for Husker basketball is because they turn over a new team every year and it's just not working. But in Husker football, our hope is, well, they turned over a new team this year. So it's kind of funny that how we kind of juxtapose that, but I still understand that there's some great additions.
There's still levels to it. I mean,
right?
It's sixth best transfer recruiting class in the country. Like, that's reason to be optimistic.
5-star on the basketball side, but there are different. There's positives and negatives to both. But and obviously it's never fair to directly compare the programs, but they've just it's just kind of funny. I think that's this fresh coat of paint is so much. It's so embraced for the football side, and whatever the fresh coat of paint is going to look like for basketball, there's no hope in it. So
no, there's not.
It's kind of funny how that is until they prove otherwise. I'm still in the camp of being proven otherwise on the football side. I'm not sure if there's a whole lot to me that indicates Frost is the CEO type that ultimately that's what's going to make him successful at Nebraska. I'm still kind of waiting to see a lot of these guys that are added in the portal don't necessarily come from winning programs themselves. So, who steps up? Who's the change? Who's the leader in the fourth quarter? If it's not coming from the top down from the head coach and he's only seemingly getting in the way at times, where does that change? And hopefully that's among the hires that they made, obviously, and the assistants. Mark Whipple being a primary one. Mickey Joseph still doing just a great job. Whenever you see the latest thing going out there at wide receiver, does it change from there? Do they have the leadership within the locker room? Not to say, hey, I think that we can do this, but hey, I've been there. I've seen winning football. This is a winning football team. And if it's not, what do we address? How do we change that? All that to say, my biggest concern continues to be what was an absolute disaster and has been a disaster for the majority of the time is the special teams and the offensive line. And the special teams in and of itself is going to cost you a few games. I like the specialists they added. Don't get me wrong. I'm not as blown away as a lot of people were. I know Bill Bush has a great career and resume, but he was in the room last year.
Look, it can't be worse.
I don't think it can get much worse.
I don't think it can be worse.
But you're not going to win a whole lot of games if your special teams is abysmal as it was last year. So even a small stride forward isn't going to help because it will still be abysmal. You need to get significantly better. Teams win. I mean, this. Beamer Ball. It
was awesome.
That's a culture of winning games based off of special teams. Not it won't get in the way. It's like, no, this is where we take our athletes and we get that extra edge to get the win. Nebraska needs that in their culture, in their program. And again, I think Bill Busch has had a good career of doing that. I just worry a little bit because he was in the room last year and it wasn't fixed.
Right.
Now he's a dedicated special teams coach, and
Which I think will help.
Which will help. And it's a different guy that was in the lead of it as opposed to last year. I think it'll help. I'm just worried a little bit because I said all along, I'm big as like sticking to my beliefs in what I say. So if I say something, then Nebraska makes a hire, I don't just switch gears and go, well, yeah, I don't believe that anymore. I said all along, I think they got to go outside the room to get this guy, because I don't think that the fix is inside the room, because if it was, it'd be fixed by now. In any case, they went with Bill Busch. I'm still concerned about the special teams. But bigger than that, I'm concerned about the offensive line. I like the idea.
And I understand that.
Yeah, it was the glaring weakness on the team last year. I hope that, and again, to be honest with you, that hire was a little underwhelming to me. I love the Raiolas. I love Donovan Raiola the most because he was great and fun to watch throughout his time here. Donovan Raiola, I can't wait to see, but it's not. And for what it's worth, they went out there and they did interviews. It's not like they just hired the first guy or thought, hey, this guy knows Dylan. They went out there and they interviewed a veteran coach, one that I probably would have been more happy with on paper. But I think that those hires still would not be the ones that blew me away, and those were the biggest problems.
Mark Whipple did.
Mark Whipple helps, but there's just only so much you can do with an offensive line, and I think that's still part of what we can all badger Scott Frost's offense and all that, and say it was terrible and all this. I'm still just shocked and thought it was great for what they did, considering the offensive line they had. To be able to put up the numbers that they did, obviously didn't finish in every game, right? But I still think it was a pretty darn good job considering the offensive line they had. So, that's my biggest concern. And until I see that, not just buy into, hey, they're getting off a better push, or hey, this guy knows about special teams. I need to see it. Because it's been 4 years, and this, throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and seeing if it sticks, I don't know if it's going to work.
Listen, Casey's going to need help on the offensive line. I'm with you right there. Texter makes a couple good points. He says Casey Thompson will be a pass-first quarterback. Martinez was a run-first quarterback. He was always looking to get out of the pocket. His pocket presence was terrible. You have to have a little bit of a feel back there. I would agree. His pocket presence really was not great. Casey Thompson has looked good in the pocket. We obviously have to protect him. The quarterback also has to get the ball out faster. I know that was a lot of criticism that Adrian Martinez had in the past. Wasn't able to get rid of the ball. Got the happy feet. You roll out of the pocket.
They were also running long developing routes too. That's why I marry the blame too. It's like, where's the slants? Where's the drag routes?
Right.
Why aren't we running? Where's the dump offs?
I agree.
A lot of times they weren't there. And I hope that Whipple fixes that.
And I think that he will. Look,
if you have a bad offensive line, quick passes.
Mark Whipple's a good coach. Just simply put, Mark Whipple's a good coach. I really do think that that's going to help. Also says you need a clutch quarterback too. Martinez was far from clutch. I think that's a good point too. That's always been my criticism when it comes to Adrian Martinez, is that so many times we got into the fourth quarter, or even before. I mean, you can look at the Purdue game as a whole. The example that I always use is Purdue, and you look at the Purdue game, 4 interceptions, bam, and then another perfect example that you look to is Michigan, another turnover that kills you. The Martinez clutch factor, I think, is the biggest thing. And the problem is, I don't know if Casey Thompson has a big enough sample size to show that he has the clutch factor. That's kind of the unknown. But we certainly know Adrian Martinez doesn't have that. So at the end of the day, as long as you just protect the football in the fourth quarter, let's just put it that way. Not even Adrian Martinez going out of his way to make a play that makes you the savior of Nebraska football. If Adrian Martinez just doesn't turn the ball over, we have a different discussion about last season, and we have a different opinion on Adrian Martinez. Legitimately, just don't turn the ball over. And I think Casey Thompson will hopefully give you that. I think a lot of that has to do with running the football more at the end of games. I hope that we get back to go under center, get a fullback, get a run back, and if you have 4th and 1, run it up the middle, run a QB sneak. I don't know why. I will never understand the snap it out of shotgun with 1 yard to go. I will never understand that. I never have. I never will. Hopefully we get rid of that. But I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to Adrian Martinez is he found a way to lose the game at the end. And as long as you just don't do that, we should be fine. We should be fine. And I always bring up the schedule. I'm going to do it again, Bach. The schedule is going to help you out this season if you don't get in your own way.
The schedule will help you improve.
Don't get in your own
3
way.
wins, but it's not going to. Again, that's why the metrics out there. It's not like 6 wins is automatically going to fix this thing. You have to see that this team's getting better, not just beating worse opponents on the schedule. So that's kind of interesting. Let's go to Mark here on the Honda of Lincoln Hotline. Mark, how are you doing today?
Good afternoon, fellas. Enjoying the show.
Thank you.
I'm with you on the lining up in the shotgun 112% of the time.
Oh, my gosh.
That leads me to my question. Are we going to see Whipple's offense, Frost offense, or a combination of the two? Because, I mean, I don't have the exact statistics in front of me, but Adrian ran, 15, 16 times a game? Well, Pickett at Pittsburgh last year ran, on average, 7.5. Some of those could have been scrambles or planned runs or, whatever. But, and then I believe Pittsburgh did have a 1,000-yard rusher last year and the Fred Biletnikoff winner.
Yeah, right.
So that's where I'm curious. Are we taking on Whipple's offense, combination of Frost's offense? Are we going to be in the shotgun all the time, which I hope not? So ponder that and now listen. Enjoy it, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the call.
Yeah, thank you.
I think the idea is kind of Whipple's got the passing game and Frost has got the running game, and they're going to kind of marry that together, each of their strengths. I don't know. I don't foresee, I see plays from Frost's offense still sticking around.
I'd agree.
A few formations and stuff like that, but you just can't run the quarterback run heavy stuff with Casey Thompson. So
you can't.
I think you're going to see mostly Whipple's offense and a smidge of Frost's offense, and I at least hope that's the case.
I would agree. And that's the thing is Casey Thompson's not built to run an Adrian Martinez style offense.
Yeah,
he's just not. I mean, he's going to get eaten alive. Gus says those drag routes and swing passes were shown the previous 3 years that Amart couldn't even make.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said swing passes. I meant drag routes or check downs. Swing passes was a disaster in this offense for so far.
Also, Ellis says, I want to correct that previous texter. Martinez was a turnover first quarterback. The thing about Adrian Martinez that was so frustrating is that the turnovers seem to come at the absolute worst time, right? And it wasn't even just the turnovers, because, again, if you look at just his statistics, which I'm assuming the guy who made this tier list did, his touchdown to turnover ratio isn't like glaringly terrible, right? Like it's not like jumps off the page horrible. It was the inopportune turnovers. It was at the worst possible time you could have a turnover. You always had one every game. And that's the thing about Casey Thompson is like, turnovers are going to happen, especially I'm assuming they're going to pass the ball a lot more. That's not my issue, especially if you're a high, if you throw a lot of passes. I have no problem with you committing turnovers. Look, when you throw the ball a lot and you throw it downfield, you're going to have turnovers. It's just like when we're driving to win the game, let's not fumble. Let's not throw a pick. Like let's not give ourselves and shoot ourselves in the foot and not even give it a chance.
But again,
that's the problem.
Like this last year too, it helps if you have a field goal kicker. If your quarterback doesn't feel like, hey, I've got to score a touchdown on every time you get the ball past the 50, as opposed to getting into field goal range, that relieves you quite a bit. So Nebraska, everything just kind of stacks on top of each other and at least translates to one another. I think that there are those problems that you have to admit Adrian had, and that they might get better with him out of the way. But at the same time, there are the positives that you have. I don't think you're going to get 13 rushing touchdowns out of your quarterback this year. I'd be surprised if you get 5.
But the thing is, Bach, how did that translate on the field? Like those 13 rushing touchdowns are great until that touchdown is then in turn with the turnover in the fourth quarter. Those are great when you are having that, and that's your scheme and your plan for success. But That goes out the window when you have a fumble on your own 50 or on the opponent's 50-yard line to lose games. When you throw a pick to end the game, like that goes away. That doesn't matter to me. Like you have to be able to protect the football. And I don't know if Casey Thompson's going to be able to do that. That's the big question, right? And I know Jesse brings this up too, and I want to mention this. I know we have to go to break, but I want to mention this real quick. If it's really still a competition, Casey Thompson must not be that good, and you should be worried. I think that's where we have to have a discussion. Is it still competition? Does this guy know something that we don't? Because to me, as someone living in Lincoln, covering the team, it seems like basically a done deal.
Well, and you just had mixed signals, I think. Frost has made it sound like there's still a competition, and maybe he should. I know you want him just to name him the starter.
I do.
I think that there's some some positives that can come out of making it sound like it's still open going into summer and making whoever it is, mostly Casey Thompson, earn it, even if he's got it 95% locked up. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, maybe we'll continue with this stuff as you guys are texting in. Also, we'll talk a little bit of basketball and hitting the hardwood. That's coming up next year on The Block.
2022 is all about staying well. And guess what? There are lots of easy ways to take care of your mental and physical health every day, like eating right and exercising, taking vitamins, drinking water, scheduling those annual doctor's visits, or just resting. That's right, even a quick nap counts. Because let's be honest, these days we could all use a little more wellness in our lives. So stay well, Nebraska. For more ways you can stay healthy, visit StayWellNebraska.com.
James Enterprise Incorporated, that company that hauls your gravel, rocks, and material for your farm or construction site, says, thank you to the people of the healthcare community for putting yourself in the way of danger to save the public. That is what it means to be a hero and to build a beautiful legacy. This message brought to you by James Enterprise Incorporated. For all your hauling of rock, gravel, and materials, call them at 402-432-6740. That's 402-432-6740.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order your Wingstop online at 28th and Superior, 50th and O Street, and 29th and Pine Lake. Steve's Garage Doors and Services is under new management, but has the same great service as before. If your current garage door seems outdated or isn't working properly, call their new number at 402-480-2840 to schedule service or get a new door ordered. Steve's can repair most types of garage doors and can always point you in the right direction to get the job done. Give Steve's Garage Doors and Services a call today at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. And Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Shopping for insurance can be a tedious and frustrating task, but the agents at Brokers Insurance Agency will do the work for you. They have partnered with over 20 of the best insurance carriers in the nation, which allows them to do the shopping all for you. Whether you're looking for business insurance or employee benefits for your company, or you're looking to save money on your home and auto insurance, Brokers Insurance Agency has the agents and solutions to help meet your goals. Call 402-420-5353 or email staff at brokersinsurancenE.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I can actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old. But I am a camping influencer. You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on the block with a few more segments before we wrap up for tonight. I know Riffin' with Raph is getting ready to go for Ticket Weeknights at 7 o'clock. That's always a great show, so tune in for that. And if you missed it, there were Huskers galore earlier today out at Wingstop on the Captain. I think Jacques Zan, Chancellor Brewington among them. A few other guys stopped in as the Captain's getting them together, trying to get ready for this upcoming season. So head to the podcast page for that, or you can go to YouTube, Facebook, check out any of that on the Captain. Of course, in any of our shows have been great. Just wanted to mention that specifically because there's plenty of Huskers on that today. Also, I listened a little bit to Bo Pelini's first podcast with his son. I thought that was a little bit interesting. He's obviously still holds a grudge about what happened here at Nebraska, but I don't blame him. And I like I've
After
always
what's
said,
happened,
yeah. I mean, and he kind of threw out that they haven't had as many wins here at Nebraska since he left. And, I don't know who would say, well, wait a minute, Bo, you're right. Yeah, it has been pretty much disaster since Bo Pelini got out. I've always said that I think that it was about time for Bo Pelini to go. At the same time, I think that he could have used more support toward the end. So I think that, by the time 2014 hit, it might have turned out better if he had a little bit more support. But ultimately, I think you kind of were what you were with that team, and Nebraska wanted to elevate themselves from that 9-4, 10-4, blown out in big games. Certainly better than what Nebraska's been since then, but not enough at Nebraska.
How do you feel about the argument? Because I don't really like it as much that, Bo Pelini would be great now because we would love 9-4. We would love 10-3 or whatever it may be. I don't really like that as much because at some point he did reach his ceiling.
Yeah.
It seemed like towards the end. And if you're Nebraska, maybe your expectation isn't to win a national championship, but you'd like to at least maybe flirt with the conversation. Like,
I feel like you have a chance.
It's just being the 25th ranked team in the country and winning 10 games is that what we've just come to? Like, I don't think so.
Right, and I think eventually that would grow stale, and I think that's what would happen too if Frost does the same thing, or whoever it is next.
I'd agree.
Comes in and does the same thing. At first, you will be beloved, and that's how it was with Pelini. 2008, 2009. I guess those teams finished a little bit higher, and you were winning divisions at that time, and I think that certainly plays into it too. By the end, he wasn't winning the divisions. It wasn't so much 10-4 as 9-4, as silly as that seems, but there is a big difference in winning the division and not. But I don't even think that would have been the case. It felt like it was just going to happen. As long as they kept him, they were going to go 9-4, 10-4. I think as time moved on and we saw, he wasn't immediately the top pick across the nation. So he went down a level to Youngstown State and had some success there, but not always. They made the championship game one year kind of as a surprise, had some struggles in other years. And then by the time he went to LSU, who just has all the athletes in the world, I understand, maybe not the most veteran group there, but got blown out of the water. I just don't know if there would be the patience for Bo Pelini's 9-4. Again, if it was frustrating at that time to have it here, I still think he'd have blowout losses, just based on the fact that I've, seeing his defense at LSU, the problem hadn't fixed. The Bo Pelini problem of getting blown out in big games and looking overmatched hadn't been fixed.
Right.
So I don't know how much that'll help, but and that's something that you have to at least credit Scott Frost with to a degree, is that they haven't been blown out. We mentioned this the other day. There's a few times Ohio State could have put up 100 on Nebraska and they didn't, so they kind of pulled the horses back. So there's a few cases where, the blowout maybe didn't end up 62-3 or whatever, but it could have been worse. But in any case, I just love hearing Bo. But Bo, regardless of his record and all that other stuff, he's just a football guy. And when you hear his voice, it kind of takes you back to the good times, or maybe if you wanted Bo fired, to the bad times. But either way, I just love hearing Bo, and will forever support him. And I'm glad he's kind of doing this media type of thing where he's starting his podcast. Will Compton, I think, got him going on it. And now I think today was doing like a college football Reddit live. So I just can't wait to see, what Bo did. And I think it would have helped for him to have a little bit more administrational support toward the end. But I also think the marriage had kind of ended at a certain point with Nebraska. And so it kind of was what it was.
Here's an interesting point, Bach, and let me know what you think about this. Texter says, a lot of people said that Osborne hit his ceiling. I'm assuming that it hit his ceiling in the 70s and 80s, and even in the early 90s. You got to let a program take a step back and move forward again. It's a process that helps the program's self-evaluation change and improve over time.
Yeah, it's fascinating because it's very true. 22 years in, you got to remember Osborne took over for I think 1 year removed from the national championship, back-to-back national championships there. Devaney won it in 70 and 71, and then had Johnny Rodgers win the Heisman in 72. Nebraska did not win in 72, but then Osborne took over. And it took 22 years, and certainly through the early part of the 70s, or throughout the 70s, I should say, couldn't beat Oklahoma, couldn't get over that hump. And the 80s he had, but I mean, at the same time, again with Osborne, there's Pelini had his own problems, right? The blowout losses and stuff like there's not a whole lot of blowout losses, or at least in that same fashion. And Nebraska was routinely a top 10 team. Like they would lose maybe 1 or 2 games a year.
Right.
Yes, it'd be frustrating when they lost him, and maybe you thought he hit his ceiling. I get that, but like they played for the championship a few times. Like,
right,
it's hard,
right.
So they were always competing for championships, always competing for the Big 8 championship. The ceiling argument is a good point. That maybe that had felt like that had happened, but it would be hard to cut ties with somebody that's competing for championships every once in a while, and always, in the Orange Bowl discussion.
It's just interesting because
I'd say they weren't close at times.
Right, I've just heard the other way around though, that people are like, "Oh, we would love to have Bo Pelini now. Like we would do anything for a 9 or 10."
Have you heard that?
I've heard something because it's just gotten that disastrous. But also, I think that's hindsight 2020. I don't think anyone saw Nebraska reaching the dark point that they've reached now. Like I don't think anyone envisioned, 5 straight years without making a bowl game, without winning 6 games like that. It's pretty disastrous. I don't think anyone could have had the foresight to think that was a possibility.
Right. I think it's just a difference in kind of where, what you're used to. I always kind of go back to the grading system. Obviously, in that case, in the Tom Osborne case, you always want the A+, right? You want to be on top. He was always an A-, maybe a B+ here and there, but mostly an A-.
Right.
Bo Pelini, I think you would say, was kind of a B- type of area. And, it's great at times when now we're in the Fs, now we're in the Ds and the Fs, not making bowl games F. And so it's good to reminisce on B-, and B's and C's get degrees, but you're not getting scholarships, right? So that's why, I think you just eventually, have to move on from there. And Nebraska would love to get a B- this year, but I don't know if that's the goal, like ultimately to get a B- the next 7 years in that analogy.
Do you think Nebraska would be in a different spot as a program right now if they still had Bo Pelini? Or do you think the writing was just on the wall and Nebraska was just headed towards whatever this
I don't
is?
think it would have ever got to the lows that it did under Mike Riley and Scott Frost. But it depends on what your version of the lows are. The problem with Pelini is, and the reason why I said it was time for him to go is because I was a huge Pelini supporter. A lot of us were early on, and it just got to the point going into a big game. We didn't have confidence.
You
that
knew what was
yeah,
gonna happen.
we almost were fretting when it was on the national television stage what was going to happen. It was hard to get amped for the game. It was hard to get up for it. It was just like, what's going to happen? And near the end, right before the coffin was nailed shut, Melvin Gordon ran for an NCAA record in 3 quarters. It was just getting out of hand.
Yeah.
And just no hope kind of going in. And I suppose that's kind of what you have with what Frost is going through into the new hires and everybody here. Whether it works or not, hope is back. I think hope
and
was
you
fading
always
toward the
think
end
that
there.
you have a chance. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Is like Scott Frost has proven, while he might not win these games, at every game you've got a shot. Like last year's perfect example. You played arguably the hardest schedule in the country, and you kept them all within a score.
Yeah.
You gave yourself a shot. And which is fun. It sucks
Yeah.
to lose, but it's fun.
It was
It's fun.
interesting. It was a fun season. Which is hard to say about a 3-9 season. And I don't know if Frost does get enough credit for that, because it's easy to take the pot shots at 3-9 and stuff like that. But it's also incredibly hard to go in, week out, especially when there's turmoil all around the program.
Yeah.
Every week is Frost going to be fired after this week? And to go in and compete with those teams at the top of the college football landscape, it really was impressive in a way. It's hard to fight that final record. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll round things up here on the block.
Hey guys, it's Jake Sorensen. Meat is the absolute best Father's Day gift ever. And here's a little gift-giving wisdom from Omaha Steaks. Dads do indeed want steaks. And with Father's Day around the corner, there is not a better gift than Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com and type Jake in the search bar and order the Dads Want Steaks package. For just $99, this limited time package includes 16 mouth-watering entrees he's guaranteed to love, like smoky, tender bacon wrapped filet mignons, gourmet jumbo franks, and their air-chilled boneless chicken breast. And for a sweet finish, delicious caramel apple tartlets. As a special gift for my listeners, when you type Jake in the search bar and order the Dads Want Steaks package, you'll also get 8 free Omaha Steaks burgers. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com and type Jake in the search bar and order the Dads Want Steaks package. You'll get 16 entrees and 4 desserts plus 8 free Omaha Steaks burgers. That's omahasteaks.com. Keyword Jake.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Expect increasing cloud cover. We will have the chance of showers later this afternoon and a cool Wednesday with a high of only around 68. North winds at 10. Tonight we'll be looking at mostly cloudy skies before clearing towards early morning and a low of 46. Much warmer tomorrow with a high of 79. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
In today's day and age, people are trying to do more and more projects by themselves. That might be better on the wallet, but it can also lead to painful sounds like this. Ow! Poor guy, trying to do wiring all by himself. Let's have another listen. It's just not worth it. Don't hurt yourself or make things worse than they are already. For any of your electric needs, call Joe at Ambition Electric today at 402-217-3415 or go to ambitionelectric.com.
Mike Schaefer here for Trek CBD. Springtime is here, and that means you're outside more in nice weather and maybe even having garage parties with neighbors. The drink of this spring and summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs and 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gums. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
Hey, sports fans, Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for His Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, that frog will boil. As a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans, it's a story that rings true. We learn to endure the heat in silence. We apply what we learn to life, the bills, the job, the family, things we're expected to handle with ease. When life heats up around us, we just try to stay afloat. We let the water boil. Reaching out isn't easy, but you've never been interested in easy. You joined because you were not afraid of hard work. You are not a frog. If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait until the water boils. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Allo means business. Allo means local business. Allo means big business. Allo means small business. No matter your business, if you need reliable phone and internet connectivity, you need Allo. Local service and same-day dispatch. Free installation. Symmetrical upload and download speeds. If your business relies on communication, rely on Allo. Allo means business. Visit allofiber.com/business.
These days, there are more reasons than ever to treat yourself to a great haircut at Great Clips with the online check-in app. So tell us, why do you check in?
I check in because I'm tired of hat hair. I check in because we all need a cut.
I check in so I can feel like me.
And I check in so I look good for you.
No matter why you check in, you'll check out with a great haircut and save time with our online check-in app. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Welcome to Heartland Flats Beatrice, your home for modern Midwest living. Our finely crafted apartments boast spacious 1 and 2 bedroom floor plans with incredible amenities, including stainless steel appliances, luxury vinyl flooring, modern electronic locks, and are pet friendly. Each apartment has its own in-unit washer and dryer, and our innovative utility bundling saves you money. Call 402-251-3020 to schedule your showing today. That's 402-251-3020. Heartland Flats Beatrice, modern Midwest living.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The block is hot. It is set to be hotter as Strick is moving to Nebraska. Should be here in a moment. My goodness, we had some wings during the break and some pepper in my throat now. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I might have to cough a little bit, but yeah, delicious wings. Might as well promote Wingstop once again because BJ was out there today.
He was
the captain doing good work out there with a lot of the Huskers stopping by. So it was very cool. But again, yeah, Strick is moving to Nebraska and will be in studio tomorrow. So that's a new era. Maybe we get some new rejoin music and stuff and just kind of get a nice fresh.
Oh, there you go.
Here,
Yeah,
maybe.
that'd be fun.
I probably won't do it though, because that'd probably be up to me. And you know what?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I think we're doing pretty well with all that stuff so far. Unfortunately, just a quick little segment here as we got to get rolling, get to some national radio. But don't worry, because it won't be long till we have local radio back in the mix here with you. As tonight on Ticket Weeknights is Riffin' with Raph, and they always got a great program.
Yeah.
Going here. Also, the finals start tomorrow. Steph Curry favored to win his first NBA Finals MVP, though if you look around, there's a lot of different metrics that favor the Warriors in Vegas, but then BPI or whatever favors the Celtics heavily. I think it's going to be a close series. I think they match up well.
I hope so. I just want to see something fun because, like I said, Buck, I watch the finals.
Yeah,
I watch
you
the finals,
do.
and I'll root for the Celtics.
I appreciate that.
Go Baston. Is it Baston?
Yeah, Mock is smart.
See, there you go.
Perfect name there.
Go
for the Boston
Celtics. Let's
accent.
go.
That's right. Go Celtics. We'll be screaming it tonight and into tomorrow. Also, go Huskers, because even though
Why
they're not
not?
really playing anything, it's always go Huskers around here. We'll take a little bit of a break. Again, Riffing with Raph will be here in about an hour, and we'll be back here on the block with Strick tomorrow.
Gala Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and